Hey folks, this is Invest Now America podcast. Check out my Facebook page, follow my Facebook page, Invest Now America, and check out my website, investnowamerica.org. Wanted to talk to you today about an article put out by the Final Call. This article is in their January 10, 2023 issue. The article is called Top U.S. CEOs Make More Money in 7 Hours Than Average Workers Earn in an Entire Year. And then it says analysis. Now, I don't doubt any stats that this article puts out there. As a matter of fact, I think for the most part the stats are accurate. My issue is with the interpretation of the stats and what people should or should not do in response to these stats, to these facts. So let me first read a paragraph or two out of the article. It says here, it's a quote: "The typical CEO of a major U.S. corporation has to work fewer than 7 hours to make the amount of money that the average worker earns in an entire year." And this is based on a study done by Sarah Anderson of the Institute for Policy Studies. By the way, the Institute for Policy Studies has always been a left-wing leaning company. Some people would call it an extremist left-wing company. When I was a Marxist, I read Institute for Policy Studies stuff all the time to justify my anti-capitalist leanings. Anderson, an expert on executive compensation, wrote December 23, I'm still quoting from the article, that if the typical CEO of a large U.S. corporation clocks in at 9 a.m. on January 2nd, by 3:37 p.m. that afternoon, he will have earned $58,260, the average annual salary for all U.S. occupations. Okay. Then let's read some. I'm going to pull out some other figures here. All right, here's another quote. Then I thought of the home care aides who may be the only people around to cheer up their homebound elderly and disabled clients over the holidays. They earned an average of just $29,260 in 2021. The typical CEO of a big U.S. corporation will pocket that much by lunchtime on his first workday of the year. He'd have to work less than an average. He have to work less than an hour more to make $36,460, the average annual pay for a pre-K teacher. All right. Okay, folks. So, I get it. There's a huge, gargantuan disparity between what a CEO's paid and what a so-called average worker's paid. I get it. They make substantially more money than a teacher, a home aid person, a food service worker. I get it. So what's your point? What's your point? What do you want to do now? I mean, seriously, what's your point? What do you want to do? I don't think the government should get involved in that. That's a free market issue. Let the free market determine that. If you think that a school teacher should be paid substantially more money than what they're paid right now, then pay it. Go to the local government and say, hey, we think our school teachers should be paid, $750,000, $1 million a year, plus given multi-million-dollar bonuses. And here's how much we're willing to pay to make that happen. Pay for it. If you think home aid workers should be paid more than $30,000 a year, then pay them more than $30,000 a year. Do it. Nothing's stopping you. No government is stopping you. If you think that food service workers at McDonald's or Target or Wendy's, well, Target's not food service. Well, they do serve food at Target. So food service workers at Target, Wendy's, McDonald's, you think they should be paid more money? You think they should be paid money on the level of a CEO? Do it. Go say to those companies, hey, I don't mind paying $2,000 for a Big Mac so that these people can be paid a lot more money than what they're being paid right now. Go ahead and do it. Why do you keep going to the government for something that you can do? Because let me tell you something. I get it. There's a gargantuan gap between CEOs and so-called average workers. I mean, my God, I don't think a CEO would have to work maybe 2-3 hours a day or in one day, and he'd make what I'm making a year. But you know what? For what I do, no one's willing to give me CEO money. I love what I do. I enjoy what I do. And I do a darn good job at what I do. And I think what I do is very important. Guess what? No one to date is willing to pay me CEO money. I mean, if they were, I would take it. But I do not believe it's the government's responsibility to intervene in the free market system in any way, taxes or whatever, to demand that to create a artificial diminishing of the gap between CEOs and average workers. That's a free market issue. Let the free market determine that. And again, if people want people like me to make more money, then give us more money. Just give it to us or pay us more money. Stop whining and crying about what other people are doing. Because these CEOs, they're not forcing companies to pay them more money. They're saying, hey, you want me to be the CEO of this company? Be American Express or whatever it might be, Kroger, Amazon, whatever it might be. Well, here's what it's going to cost for you to have me in that position. And people pay it. They're not putting a gun in anybody's head. So just as people can voluntarily give CEOs outrageous bonuses, and I agree with you. I mean, I look at some of these CEOs and some of these companies, and I say to myself, why in the heck are they paying that guy that kind of money? Doesn't make any sense. But you know what? I say the same thing about some professional athletes. Some of them being paid millions of dollars a year, and they're dropping passes. Here's my attitude. If I'm an owner of a football team, let's say, for example, some athlete comes to me and says, hey, man, I want to be your wide receiver. So I'm going to sort of look at the market, look at what's out there, hopefully make a solid business decision. I said, okay, you're on my team. And I'm going to pay you $5 million a year for, let's say, 3 years, 3 consecutive years. And let's say half that $5 million is guaranteed. And then I'll give you some bonuses. Dude, if at any time you drop too many passes, I'm going to be looking to cut you off. I think when you get paid a high amount of money, it should be based on performance. It should be tied to performance. I don't see that with a lot of CEOs. I mean, that's my opinion. I don't see that. But guess what? Again, companies are not being forced to pay that. There's a reason why they're paying it. And there's a reason why they're only paying home care workers and food service workers what they're paying them. And if you want home care people, teachers, etc., to get more money, then you pay them more money. You let the company know, hey, I'm willing to pay more money for your service or product so that these guys over here can get paid more money. It's not for the government to intervene in the free market system. And some people, I think really part of the problem here is a lot of people are ignorant about what in fact constitutes free market capitalism and etc. So that's why I would strongly encourage that you read books by Milton Friedman and Harry Hazlitt and some other folks. I'm gonna list some other books later. And so that you can have a better understanding of free market capitalism. When we talk about, this person makes more money than this person, we need to do something about it. We need to have the government intervene. Folks, that's the road to socialism. That's the road to disaster. Period. And black folk of all folk, we don't need to be going down that road of socialism or cultural Marxism and all that other kind of stuff. Because time and time again, it's been shown in our history as a people, It's been utterly destructive for us. People talk about this. There was a time back in the 60s, 70s, people talked about some nonsense about African socialism. African socialism was just nothing but a rephrasing, a renaming of white folk Marxism, Marxism-Leninism, socialism, communism. It was just collectivist nonsense, and it always turned out to be a disaster. I mean, it destroyed African economies. Folks, as black folk, we need to be about free market capitalism, period. And we need to, that's just it. We need to be about free market capitalism. If we're serious about the growth and the prosperity of our people as a people, there are three words I got for you: free market capitalism.